Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Alexis Nunes alongside Stuart Robson and Craig Burley. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our viewers in the USA who are celebrating and those outside of the USA as well. We're going to be thankful and start off that we had some wonderful football to talk about in the Champions League, but it wasn't wonderful for one specific club, and that is Liverpool, as they were humbled by PSV at home. Well, now a lot of people have been questioning how long can this rot last and how long can Arne Slot last at the rate he's going. Well, this is what he had to say about his position at the club.
Yeah, we've had the same conversations as we've had since I'm here. And as I'm not sure if I said it last night, but we fight on and we try to improve. That's what we all try. But the conversations have been the same as they've been for the past 1.5 years.
All right, well, we're thankful to be joined by the rest of our crew today. A bit of a full house here. Frank Leboeuf, Ian Darke, and Beth Lindop are joining us. Beth, you know I'm going to have to start with you because you were at that Arne Slot press conference today where, of course, he was defending himself there. He said, look, they're just going to fight on. It's business as usual. But in a week where PSV are humbling you at home in the Champions League, is it really business as usual? What is the club and the mood like saying about his position?
Yeah, well, I think the words to describe the mood at the club at the moment is just shell-shocked. You know, everybody that you speak to, from the manager through to the players, to the supporters, everybody can't quite conceive that this is actually happening. You know, it's only 6 months ago that Liverpool were lifting the Premier League trophy, and they obviously go on a huge summer spending spree, which many people thought would mark them out as favourites both in the Premier League and in Europe as well. So for them to now have lost 9 of the last 12 games and to be in a position where Arne Slot's authority and his future at the club is genuinely being questioned is just almost inexplicable, really. And everyone is shocked. I think Arne Slot used the word confused before the PSV game. He was confused that Liverpool had managed to go on such a poor run when they had so much quality, which when you look into your head coach Francis maybe is a little bit concerning if even he doesn't know the solution. But what I will say is, as you say, I was there today. I've been there at most of his press conferences over the past few weeks, and his mood and his tone hasn't really changed. You know, he's not really seemed too downbeat. He seemed to sort of maintain that air of sort of quiet calm, which was so integral to Liverpool's success last season. But ultimately, you know, no matter how much credit you've got in the bank, positions can become untenable. And I think another few defeats and Arne Slot could be at that point at Liverpool.
Ooh, another few defeats and Arne Slot could be out. But we know our Frank Leboeuf has a flair for the dramatic. Frank, and you think he should be out now?
Well, it seems to be something huge going on there, and I think something is broken, and it's hard to find a way to resolve the problem unless you get rid of the one person you can get rid of, because you can't get rid of the 25 players. So you have to do, if you have to take a decision, you will go for the coach. But I don't forget the last season, and Beth was mentioning it, 6 months ago, Liverpool, with the same coach, became champion of England. So there is a reason, and it's not only because of him that Liverpool is in that situation. I mean, all the players are really only the shadow of themselves. So how do you resolve, how can you resolve the problem? I don't know, because that seems to be huge. The only way to have a reaction is maybe getting rid of the coach and try to have another atmosphere, another energy from somebody else. Because those players, they have qualities. What's wrong with them? Really, what's wrong with them? They became champion with the same coach. Why they are only the shadow of themselves? I don't have the answer. I think nobody has the answer. I don't even think that the players have the answer. But that's becoming very dramatic.
Darke, well, Frank thinks that, you know, they need some new energy now, probably from a different manager. Beth says that it could probably be a few more defeats that they will have to suffer before Arne Slot is out. How long do you think he has?
Well, things will get a bit awkward, I think. I mean, the time isn't now, quite clearly. Champions 6-7 months ago. But their next 3 games are West Ham away, which is a harder game than it was a month ago because West Ham are picking up points now. They've got Sunderland and they've got Leeds United. All games in the normal course of events, you'd think Liverpool would win. But this is not the normal course of events. I think the players look visibly shaken. I think they look haunted. And I think, just as Frank was saying there, I think why they're haunted and they're shaken is they can't work it out themselves. They don't know what's wrong, and that is alarming, I think, for Arne Slot.
All right, well, Curtis Jones had a fiery message for the players at his boyhood club, and this is what he had to say. He said, look, it starts with just wanting to be a man out there and just wanting to tackle someone and just be a dog out there, like go and smash someone. There's times when we do play, but off the ball stuff, I think that's the stuff that has to change. Stuart, is that it? Just a little attitude readjustment, be a bit more of a dog in this fight?
When things are going badly, the one thing you can change is your work rate and your work ethic, and you've got to try and get the crowd back on side. Sometimes that is making 1 or 2 tackles. But you've also got to be clear with what you're trying to do. It's no good just racing around trying to tackle people and you get played around, even worse. So that comes down to the coach, to making sure the defensive situation is completely stable. The players have got to make the right decisions on the field because they're making bad decisions on the field. We heard that Van Dijk is a world-class player. We have done for many years. At the moment, he's making schoolboy errors in terms of his positional play and his recovery runs. He looks as though his confidence is completely lost and he can't make a decision. So just running around kicking people or making tackles, yes, it might inspire the crowd a bit more and get everyone going, but it's not quite the way to do it.
What did you make of what Curtis Jones had to say, Craig? Would that fix it?
I didn't pay any attention to it, to be honest. There's a tipping point for every manager, and I don't think we're there yet.
No.
But there is a tipping point. But as I said in yesterday's show, or whatever show it was, I haven't got a clue, can't remember. Some clubs are very reactionary and make hasty decisions. Whilst Liverpool are not perfect, and no club is, history will tell you they don't tend to react on a whim. They don't tend to just hire and fire willy-nilly. Like a Real Madrid and Abramovich's Chelsea and others, it was get them out, pay off the manager, give him his lump sum and bring somebody else in and then make a change. Historically, they haven't really, it might have been the odd occasion, but they haven't really been like that. What's happening here? There is a tipping point at some point, and I just can't answer that question to when that is. But clearly, if he doesn't turn it around quickly, going into Christmas and the New Year and it gets busy, and I think there's less games in Boxing Day this year. There might only be 1 game actually, but it's a very busy period. Then there is going to be that tipping point for Arne Slot. But I just don't know when that is. And interesting enough, and I was going to ask Beth actually, what's the... I know the Liverpool fans are not going to be shouting for Arne Slot out or anything like that, but what's the general feeling amongst the hardcore fans that are at the game in terms of how he needs to approach this and the reaction, if any, to the manager or the players when they're having these bad results?
Yeah, well, I think Liverpool fans pride themselves on the fact that they are supportive of their players. They very rarely turn on their own players. That's why it was such big news last year when Trent Alexander-Arnold was booed when it came out that he was going to Real Madrid. So they have been, for the most part, quite supportive, but everybody has a tipping point, it's the same for the manager, but in terms of fans as well, everybody gets to a point where, they feel like they can't possibly keep up with what's happening. And I think 2 home defeats, I think it's the first time since 1953 that Liverpool have lost 3 games consecutively by 3 or more goals. And in that season, they were relegated. So, that just tells you sort of how far they've fallen from last year. And they were at the full-time whistle last night, a few boos. It was still very much in the minority, but when the match-going fans start to turn on the team and the manager, then that's when things can start going badly wrong. I think, most fans have a lot of affection for Slot and feel like he deserves time because of what he did last season, because of how well he navigated a very difficult summer with a team grieving the loss of a teammate and a friend. So I think all of those factors mean that Liverpool fans want him to succeed. But ultimately, if you're getting beat every week, then there comes a point when you have to just stop the rot. I think the issue for Liverpool is, it's all well and good saying get rid of him, bring someone else in, but then who do you bring in? Because you look at the managerial market at the moment and there aren't many standout candidates. And, some of the names that have been touted, the likes of Andone Areola at Bournemouth, Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace, those types of managers, they haven't been tested at this level. It's a very different task delivering at Bournemouth than it is to deliver in at Liverpool. So it would be a big risk to bring anybody in at this moment in time. And I think that's why for a lot of match-going fans, they would still quite like Slot to be able to turn this around. But at the moment, the signs of him being able to do that are pretty scarce.
Frank, of course, a name that Robbo mentioned is Virgil van Dijk, and it's rare in the last couple of seasons that we ever had to question what on earth he was doing in situations, but he had a moment, especially in the game yesterday.
I don't get it. And again, as I said before, we don't know what's going on. I think they all should go to see a shrink because they have a problem. It's in their heads, because you don't lose your capabilities and tools like that. It's impossible. Konate is not the Konate that we have known, and of course Virgil van Dijk. I don't recognize him. He will have never done a mistake like that on the penalty, but also on some of the things that I see that he's not confident. He lost all the confidence that he had in his football, and it's for me. I don't understand that. I don't understand why it's possible like a player like that can become, because I play in this position. Yeah, you can have doubts. Yeah, maybe you think twice. But you don't go that far. That's really extreme for me. And I don't understand. It happens to all the players. It's like a curse, and I don't get it, because you cannot. Well, we saw that with Manchester City last season. Became the champion of England and became a shamble 6 months after. Same thing for Liverpool. Champion, shamble. I don't want a champ. I don't want a next champion, because they're going to be scared the season after.
Van Dijk, Alisson and Salah have to lead this team as the senior players in the dressing room out of this mess. They're the ones, and they've all played poorly. Not really the goalkeeper, but certainly Van Dijk and Salah. Those are the two players, and three if you add the experienced goalkeeper, that have to lead the dressing room now and be the ones putting their hand up for the manager and saying, listen, we will turn this around. We will make sure the dressing room and the squad and the players are back on track, and they have to start leading, and they have to lead by example, and they haven't done that.
Quite often, when a team's winning, you say, what a great leader Van Dijk is.
Yeah.
Now's the test of whether he's a good leader when things are going wrong. They used to say it about John Terry, and I'd always argue, what happened when John Terry at Chelsea was the captain and his great leadership when managers were getting the sack and they weren't doing particularly well? Now, Van Dijk has got to step up. We all said he's a great leader when they won the title last year and did well the year before that. Now he's got to stand up. He's got to stop making mistakes himself. He's got to play with more confidence, and he's got to get everybody around him playing with more confidence as well. And he's got to back the manager, because we don't know what's going on off the field, on the training field. Frank said it earlier, I think, and Darky said it earlier. You don't know. You can see what's going on the field, but is it a combination of what's going on the training field and what's happening in the dressing room?
Say something, Alexi.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he seems to be in the press and for quite a while now that Konate is a target to get out of the team and being the weakness and the weakest link. And I don't get it, because we talked about and Craig was saying that the leaders, they are Van Dijk, they are Mo Salah. Where are they? Where are they to cover those players, to protect those players in the game? Yes, Konate can make a mistake, but and Stuart was mentioning John Terry. When the other players they had problems, John Terry was there. He was there helping them. I play with Marcel Desailly. I can tell you, the guy was a leader. And Marcel Desailly, you had a problem, he was there to supply you. That's something I don't get it. It's very strange. Yeah, Konate is not good for sure, but he cannot be the only target. I mean, if I see every players, they have been struggling. Gravenberg, McAllister, the same thing. I don't even talk about Isaac. I don't know if because of the World Cup next summer, those players are maybe shaking because they're afraid that they cannot be with the national team. Because if Konate continues like that, he won't be with the national team. But again, he cannot be the only one being targeting as the weakest link, because they're all bad.
Yeah, Konate's made one or two mistakes, and they're glaring mistakes. They're miscontrolled, or he runs over the ball, whatever it is. But I'm looking at Van Dijk, because the mistakes I don't excuse are the ones where you take up bad positions, you get run past and don't recover, and then you blame somebody else for it. And at the moment, Van Dijk is doing that to Konate too many times.
Throwing him under the bus.
Throwing him under the bus. He keeps waving his arm as if Konate should be coming across to cover him. But he's not running back quickly enough. His recovery runs are slow, and he's not understanding the game at the moment.
Thank you.
It would be interesting, actually, just before I get to Darky, but Beth, just speaking on hearing what Robbo has to say about Virgil van Dijk, how many questions are there surrounding him? Of course, at this point, he is a Liverpool legend, but as Robbo is saying, not really being the leader they need, especially when you keep throwing your teammate under the bus when they're making mistakes.
Yeah, I think there is frustration, absolutely. And I think Virgil will be probably the first person to hold his hand up and say that he's not been playing well enough this season. And I think to Virgil's credit, you know, a number of the players haven't been wanting to speak to the media over the past few weeks. And Virgil has, with the exception of yesterday, actually every single week has come out and has spoken to us and has been honest, has been frank. And I think that is what you want from a captain and from a leader. And I do agree. I think you want him to be a leader on the pitch. There are maybe occasions where he's maybe looked to his teammates, the likes of Konate, the likes of Milos Kerkez, who struggled a little at their door. But I think on the whole, he has more credit in the bank than everyone else. And, you know, I agree, Konate should not be the only person singled out for these poor performances. But at the end of the day, you know, he's not a young player anymore, Konate. You know, he captained France not too long ago. He's got ambitions of captaining them potentially at a World Cup. Van Dijk won't be at Liverpool forever. And so if Konate is to stay at Liverpool, is to become the next leader of Liverpool's back line, you do want to see a little bit more from him. And I think that's where the frustration comes from Liverpool fans towards Konate as opposed to Van Dijk.
Well, Darky, we know that Liverpool definitely splashed some cash and brought in some big name reinforcements over in the summer. Now with the January transfer window coming up, a lot of fans, of course, demanding that they bring in defensive reinforcements. Do you think Arne Slot should be given the time to reinforce in January?
Well, yeah, I think he should. But, you know, look at the £450 million that they spent. The only signing that has so far come off is Hugo Ekitike, who scored a few goals and looked pretty good. Isak's never been fit since his strike at Newcastle. Wirtz hasn't adapted yet to playing in England. Kerkez has looked a liability at left back. Frimpong's been unfit most of the time. So that's a problem. I mean, a question I'd throw out to everybody here on the panel tonight is, did they change a little too much? I know title-winning teams have to refresh, but were there too many changes?
No, because Alexander-Arnold was leaving and Andy Robertson can't do it anymore on a weekly basis. So those two positions had to change.
Robertson's back in the team, Craig.
Andy Robertson is not a long-term solution anymore for Liverpool. That's why they went and bought Kerkez. If you watched him play for Scotland and watched him play for Liverpool, he's come in and been able to do a job. Think back to the game at Chelsea. I think when he came in, he either played or he came on. He struggled. He struggled for the national team. Okay, they had a big result against Denmark, but the game prior to that, he was getting pelters. They wanted him out of the team. So those positions, they had to make changes for the future. There is no doubt about that. You could argue the signing of Florian Wirtz with the midfield of McAllister, Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. You could argue about that scenario. You might also argue about getting somebody to back up Mo Salah on that side, which they haven't got because they've lost Luiz to Bayern Munich. But I mean, I think if we sit here and talk about, you know, Liverpool, to your words, reinforcing in January, I think people would just laugh, wouldn't they?
We all said
they
were good signings. When they made all those signings at the beginning
of the season,
the
title
not
already.
one person I don't think would have said, dear, they're terrible signings. No. Everyone, Don Hutchin was always on about Kerkez being the best left-back in the Premier League. We saw a lot of Frimpong in the Bundesliga, dominating down the right-hand side. Ekitike, last season, he was excellent. And Florian Wirtz was the best player in the Bundesliga. So these are the players that we thought would make Liverpool a better side. Has he been able to integrate them well? Probably not. And that's been Arne Slot's problem. He hasn't been able to integrate the players into the system that they were playing.
Well, Frank, yesterday on the show we discussed, you know, when Liverpool did reinforce in the summer and there's a lot of new faces, and Robbo brought up the fact that those reinforcements probably rubbed the older players or the more experienced players, the Premier League title-winning players, the wrong way, that they felt some type of way potentially being replaced by these new kids on the block. Do you think there's any of that?
That's possible. Don't forget also the death of Diogo Jota. That can be also an aspect of the players, being in the dressing room and not feeling well every time they see the seat. So that can affect also the players. I don't know why and how we can find the solution to resolve the problem, because we don't know where the problem is. And I don't think the players have been bitter or jealous because of the arrival of other players. And as Stuart explained, that was only fair. The players who came, they were there because they were needed. And they were needed, and they had to reinforce in those specific positioning because they wanted to keep on winning. So that was only normal, and should have given more competition between the players. But like Frimpong is not fit enough, Kerkez is not good enough, is not doing great. They need to adapt. But I think. Again, the players have to stop trying to find excuses elsewhere, because they all have to look at themselves in the mirror, because they all have been bad. And it's not because of the arrival of the others, or it's not because they can adapt to anything, it's because they can't play together, because something is not working. As Stuart said, Arne Slot is guilty for that, because he has to make sure that the chemistry works. But he's not the only one, and they have to stop trying to find where the problem is. Where the problem is, maybe just do what the coach wants.
Well, look, we've just done 25 minutes on Liverpool here. Let's stop dragging the backside out of Liverpool. If they don't start winning games, he's out. It's quite simple.
Let's shift focus, shall we, and talk about Arsenal, who got a big 3-1 win over Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Here's a look at the match stats, and it was quite the performance from Mikel Arteta's men, which prompted a lot of people, including us, to say that Arsenal are quite possibly the best team in Europe, if not the world right now. Well, someone else begs to differ, and as Robbo hinted at it, it was Joshua Kimmich, the Bayern Munich midfielder. This is what he had to say. No, I don't think so. I think PSG was the toughest one, especially the way they play. Arsenal is completely different. They rely on set pieces. They love to play long balls. They love to fight for second balls. It was a completely different game than PSG. It was more a football game.
Well, the best teams...
Sour grapes?
Yeah, sour grapes. The best teams can win football games in many different ways. If they want to play football, Arsenal can play football. If they need to go long because the opposition are pressing them high up the field, they can go longer. If they want to get set plays and get them into the box with great quality, they can do that as well. So at the moment, along with PSG, who have got some outstanding footballers and play a great style of football, Arsenal are an all-round team, and they're very difficult to play against. Bayern Munich tear up the Bundesliga, and they've done it in the Champions League, where they've scored goal after goal after goal. We saw the expected goals. I know you love the expected goals. 0.68 for Bayern Munich, because they didn't create chances, because Arsenal stopped them playing.
Well, nobody said Arsenal were the best team in the world.
No.
We said maybe. You didn't.
I didn't say maybe. I'm not getting tarred with that brush. I mean, getting carried away. I mean, they're strong at the moment, but you know, what's handed out pre-Christmas? Nothing. Absolutely.
Remember, Arsenal beat PSG at this stage last year in the Emirates 2-0 and thrashed them.
PSG was struggling, and then when it really mattered, which is where Arsenal have struggled in recent years, where it has really mattered. So yeah, I mean, it's what they do after Christmas, after New Year, come March, come April and May, when it gets, whether it's tight in the Premier League or not, or they're in the knockout in the Champions League, I don't know where they'll be, but they're certainly strong enough squad-wise to be in a very good position. Whether they will be or not remains to be seen.
And at this particular point, I don't think any team would want to play Arsenal. They're the team that are in form at the moment, I would say.
They are the team to beat, indeed, in the Premier League and the Champions League at the moment, I suppose. Of course, PSG as well. But Frank Leboeuf, did I hear a chuckle from you there when I was reading the quote from Joshua Kimmich?
Yeah, especially the last sentence, referring about the game that he played against Paris Saint-Germain. He said it was more a football game. What the hell that means? That means that Stuart, Craig, and myself, we didn't play football because we didn't play the tiki-taka. Like Bayern Munich yesterday, passing 465 passes and doing not having chances to score, or almost not chances to score. I mean, Arsenal adjust it's football right now with the opponent that they have, and they're doing great. And that you have to refer that as a great team. Yeah, I'm with Craig, and you have to not be carried away because of what Arsenal is doing right now, because we all know that that's going to be after winter that we're going to see what Arsenal really worth. But right now, I found Bayern Munich very impressive. When I saw the game in Paris Saint-Germain, I was at the Parc des Princes. That was the most impressive team so far. But seeing Arsenal being capable of dealing with Bayern Munich and winning 3-1, well, you know, you cannot say that it's not, well, maybe it's not the best team. It's one of the best teams, for sure.
Darky, what say you? Best team?
No, not yet. You can't say that. I agree with Craig. There's no silverware handed out in late November. What they've proved is they're a very, very strong team at the moment. They may deliver silverware, but for me, Paris Saint-Germain were brilliant winners of the Champions League last season. Until anybody proves otherwise in the later stages of this competition, Paris Saint-Germain, I think, still deserve that accolade if you're having that argument. But Arsenal are good.
All right, well, let's...
And should be. With
the amount of players they've got, the squad they've got.
Liverpool, when we were talking elongated about Liverpool, nobody's going to be feeling sorry for the fact that they spent all that money and they're struggling. That's the same for Man City. When Man City were beefing up the squad and when they had injuries, nobody cared. You got a big squad, deal with it. Arsenal are the same. You know, Gabriel's out. How's that going to affect him? I don't know. Who cares? Crocodile tears. You have to handle it. And they've brought in players that have been able to do that and should be able to do it. Now, they're not the best team in England or Europe until the end of the season, and we know that. At the moment, they're one of the informed teams, but there's a big difference. Big difference to being an informed team and a successful team at the end of the season. And until that all comes out in the wash, I think we should be a little bit guarded about how we talk about some of these teams, because historically, some of these other sides have done a better job at the business end of the season of getting results at the best times. You look at Man City, you look at how difficult it was for them to win the Champions League. They should have won it. Could easily have won it. Say easily, they should have probably won it, put themselves in good positions on 3 or 4 occasions before they did win it, but they crumbled, and either the manager got it wrong or teams outfoxed them or out-defended them or whatever it was. Pinpointed the weak areas of the team, and they struggled to get over the line when many people thought, right, they're going to dominate Europe and England for many a year, and they couldn't. There was
3 key words that I think 3 of us used. At the moment.
At the moment.
At the moment. That's all we can say. At the moment.
Darky?
Yeah, exactly that.
And,
at the moment, I can't answer that.
Sorry. No. For me, yes, for me, but at the moment. But remember last season, I think Liverpool were first. They were on fire, and it was November. And they won the Premier League because they managed to deal with that, and because the other team couldn't react. But they lost in the Champions League, they lost in the FA Cup, they lost in the League Cup, where everybody saw them winning winning everything, and it didn't happen. So again, let's not be carried away by what Arsenal is doing. They are at the moment very good, but we'll see at the end of the season.
Darky, you wanted to chime in?
No, I was just going to say, I'm thinking we're all asked, aren't we, at the beginning of every season to make predictions. Predictions make fools of you. I think one of the great things about this game is it's impossible to predict it. Among us, anyway.
Another big result in the Champions League this week that I'm not sure if that many would have expected, or at least our Stuart Robson. Chelsea thrashing Barcelona at Stamford Bridge by 3-0. And this weekend, it's another big task for Chelsea, as it's the small matter of a London derby, as Arsenal will be facing Chelsea this weekend. And these are the predictions. Everyone except for Frank Leboeuf, shock, have gone for an Arsenal win. Craig?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. Arsenal are a better side, better in every position. Chelsea was a really good result against Barcelona, but Barcelona are horrendous defensively. Arsenal not. I think Chelsea can cause them some problems. I think midfield's going to be really interesting because Chelsea are strong in there, got some good players. Maybe Reece James will step in again. Who knows? You know, Caicedo, Zubimendi, Enzo Fernandez, Declan Rice was great the other night again. Really dynamic. I think the midfield's going to be key for them. Can Saka push back Cucurella? All that sort of stuff. Can he? These one-on-one battles. But ultimately, Arsenal are stronger in every position. And,
I'm just going to pick Craig up on one position.
Okay.
One position I think that Chelsea are stronger. Caicedo, I think, is a better player than Zubimendi. But in all the other positions, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm not.
Cucurella?
No. I wasn't talking about individuals.
Yeah. All around the team.
Yeah. I was talking about, I take Arsenal's midfield, take Arsenal's back four, take their front line. But I think Caicedo's a different player to Zubimendi. I think Zubimendi's a little bit more under the radar. Caicedo's more physical about the way he goes about it, breaks the game up a little bit more. Maybe Zubimendi a little tidier on the ball. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, it's.
And Frank just shouted out Cucurella, I could hear in the background, better than maybe Calafiori or Lewis, certainly better than Lewis Skelly at the moment.
I like Calafiori.
Yeah, it took me too.
Frank, you went for Chelsea, though.
The thing is that, yes, I went for Chelsea because, I should have gotten the same result as you did, guys, because when we all predict the same thing, normally it happens the opposite. But realistically, I don't want no race. I want Arsenal to have trouble. I want to enjoy the Premier League. I don't want to see that being too easy. And Chelsea deserves some credit. And you don't win randomly against Barcelona. Even if Barcelona doesn't do well, yes, it's going to be different with Arsenal, but you don't win like that and keep on winning like that with, against some of the teams without, getting some credits. And you never know. It's going to be at Stamford Bridge. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Arsenal, they can struggle with players like Estevao and Neto, very fast, small players and very skillful. You can have a surprise. And I want to believe that my former blue team can do something who makes a race interesting.
Darky, how impressed were you by Chelsea against Barcelona this week?
Very impressed. I thought they absolutely battered Barcelona and completely exposed that high line, that they were playing a high line without any pressing going with it, which I think compounded Barcelona's problems in the game. That's another issue. I think Chelsea-Arsenal, it's an interesting game. I'm predicting Arsenal because they keep finding a way to get things done. They can win in different ways, as Stuart was saying earlier on in the programme. I do think Chelsea are coming of age, so my prediction isn't a completely confident one. I'm just thinking of that recent game where Sunderland gave the Arsenal defence a few problems in that 2-2 draw. So I think it's going to be a very tight game, not much in it at all, but the way Arsenal have gone this season, you'd probably always want to be on them. Could Chelsea win? Yeah, sure.
Get it, people make comparisons. Lamine Yamal's playing Estevao. Estevao's a great young player. Lamine Yamal's already won the Euros. He's already won the Spanish League. He's won the Spanish Super Cup. You could argue he could have won the Ballon d'Or, but Dembele was a...
And you and I watch him most weeks. We've seen him have absolutely magnificent games week in, week out.
They were 2-0 down in the final Clásico last year, and not quite single-handedly, but he just dragged this Barcelona team back in the Clásico to I think it was 4-3 in the end. Ian was there. It was just magnificent. So he has done it as a youngster. Now, has he gone off the ball a little bit or off the boil slightly? I think the answer is yes. Now, Robbo, you did the game last week against Athletic Club, and he's maybe starting to overcomplicate it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think he's put pressure on himself with all the things that happened with the Spanish team and not going there, and the club haven't helped that. And I just thought the really good players, and he's a great player. You use the skill and your technique in moments where it matters, in and around the box. He was doing it on the halfway line, getting caught on the ball. A great coach that I played on, John Cartwright, used to say, don't play your ace all the time. Keep it back, and then when you need it, when it's the most important time, then throw your ace down. And that's what I think Yamal's just got to start to do a little bit more.
Well, Darky, you know that we watch Barcelona week in, week out under a magnifying glass with our La Liga coverage. And I think both you and Robba pointed out the fact that it's not just that they lost against Chelsea in the Champions League. It's how they lost against Chelsea in the Champions League and how other teams, even domestically, have been figuring out a way around them, especially when they can't always outscore all of their opponents. So is Barca's season, both in Europe and domestically, looking like it's a bit in danger?
Maybe not domestically, because I'm not sure too many of the teams in La Liga will be able to exploit them in the way that Chelsea did. But against the top teams coming to the knockout stages of the Champions League, and we assume Barcelona will be in that competition at that stage, yeah, I think they're going to have a problem, because people are going to play, pacey types against them who'll just get in behind and exploit that. I mean, and there was one quite worrying bit, wasn't there, where Neto was in a foot race with Kubasi and completely left him for dead. So, is the recovery speed there as well when you're playing that high line? Yeah, I mean, it's something for Hansi Flick to think about, but I think he's thought about it and he's going to stick with exactly the way they play.
Just going to pick up on something Darky said there, and we were talking about it before the show. Remember, they lost 4-1 to Sevilla, and Sevilla were just cutting them open at will. And the game that you and I watched, Celta Vigo, the first half, it was some of the worst defending. So even teams in La Liga, as Stevie Nicol called it, Keystone, even teams in La Liga are now finding ways, the lower teams are finding ways to break them down.
The Sevilla game was earlier in the season, wasn't it? And it was equally as embarrassing. And you thought, well, that's the eye-opener. That's the moment.
If Sevilla are doing it against you, you've got a problem.
That's the moment where they're squeezing up and others are on. You think, right, okay, it's not wholesale changes, but it has to be some subtle changes, and they haven't. And then you have Hansi Flick coming out. And I don't know Hansi Flick. I never met the guy. But I like watching these teams play. If I'm a neutral.
Oh, it's great entertainment.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
But when you're hiring and firing and you're under pressure, and you always are in Spain, as you are in most countries, particularly when you're at the big clubs, then you got to get the results. And the fact that he came off the international break and said, if we play, this would worry me. If we play how we played against Celta Vigo, will we fine the rest of the season? No. No. Yes, you scored goals against Celta Vigo, but you were horrendous at the back. Absolutely horrendous. Now, the one saving grace that they've got is Real Madrid are equally as poor, it seems, and have their own issues, which I won't really get into. So there's nobody there's not like an Arsenal at the moment, or like normally you get in France, PSG, who are off and running. I know it's a little bit tighter in France this year with Marseille and one or two others, but there's nobody out there just putting 7, 8, 9, 10 wins on the spin. That would really crank the pressure on. So they have that to be thankful for. But if he doesn't sort this defence out, A, I don't think he'll win La Liga, and B, they've not got a cat and hell's chance of winning the Champions.
And just remember, you can watch every La Liga game on ESPN
on
Plus.
ESPN Plus.
It's so bad, these two teams.
You can't. No, it's so bad. But they make things entertaining, at least, right?
It's great entertainment, yeah.
It's great entertainment, indeed.
We shouldn't sit here and say they're great, because you were in Elche. Darky was doing the commentary. And they were horrendous.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they were absolutely horrendous. And Barcelona,
but it makes for great entertainment at the moment.
Well,
for the neutral.
For the neutral.
It was a really good. It was a really good game that day down in Alicante, and Elche played some great stuff. As you guys know, you were there. Arguably should have won the game, but yeah, the fact that they have the deficiencies are something worth.
Oh, of course,
discussing.
Absolutely.
We would not be doing our job if we just buried it under the carpet and said, yeah, Real Madrid and Barca, they're great as things in sliced bread. No, they're not. But the other point is what we were talking about earlier, is come February, March, April, it doesn't look like it at the moment, but they may have figured something better out and be in a much better position, akin to what we're talking about.
Or we could be ending up with Hansi Flick gone and so Xabi Alonso gone at some point, if they don't get results in the Champions League and don't get results in the...
And Arne Slot gone. I mean,
it could be
Who's going to be around?
Alonso to Liverpool.
Alonso to Liverpool, I tell you what. Darky?
Or Hansi Flick to Liverpool. What Stuart forgot to mention is, in his big promo for ESPN Plus, all 380 games in La Liga are on ESPN.
And half of them commentated by Ian Dark. So, there we go.
I mean, come for Ian Dark, stay for the football and the entertainment.
I mean, if I was guessing, I'd say there's contracts coming up for renewal.
It looks like he's got athletic club's shirt on behind him.
They're probably not going to get renewed, though.
We will always.
Come on, we can't have that, Darky. Come on.
La Liga coverage without Darky's voice? Come on. Is that even La Liga anyways? Well, speaking of La Liga, it is back this weekend. Robert, which game are you on?
I'm on Sevilla versus Real Betis.
All right.
3:15 English time.
And are you with Darky?
No, I'm not with Darky. I'm with Rob Palmer.
No. All right. Well, tune in on Sunday.
Darky gets the big one.
Darky gets the big one indeed. We will see exactly what happens this weekend. Barcelona going up against Alaves. And then on Sunday, Girona against Real Madrid. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. You know where. Welcome into Extra Time. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone watching. We've got Craig, we've got Robbo, we've got Frank, we've got Darky. What a full house. So let's get straight to the first question. Coming from Dan's Fancy Dress Shorts. Happy Thanksgiving. Who's been the biggest turkey of the season so far in world football?
Liverpool.
But I feel like turkey's a good thing, though. It's like the main event at Thanksgiving, right?
I don't think they're using it as a good
I know.
thing. It's who's been poor. I suppose you have to go with Liverpool. You know, from where they were to what they are at the moment, they've had a major drop-off.
Frank?
I agree. I just want to say I'm so happy for Strasbourg. Winning against the FA Cup winner, Community Shield winner. Come on, Strasbourg against Crystal Palace. So happy for the guys, you know.
How many French teams does Frank have? Darky, what about for you? Are you going with Liverpool as well as the biggest turkey of the season?
Oh, I thought turkey was a phrase you used about movies that flopped. But if you want to put it to football, yeah, probably Liverpool. But you'd probably throw in Wolves as well, wouldn't you? Yet to win yet.
Mind you, Portsmouth, Darky's team lost 3-0 last night, I noticed. 3-0.
Well, they're down to 10 men.
Oh, I don't care if they lost 3-0.
Yeah, they were pretty awful.
Oh, we're piling on Darky. Next question, shall we? It's for Craig and Frank. Does Frank still think that PSG is better than Arsenal and Arsenal cannot win the Champions League?
Who said that?
Oh, I bet that's
The question's
the
for Craig and Frank.
But who said Arsenal couldn't win the Champions League? I'm always intrigued by these. People just make things up.
I don't remember having said that. I think PSG, I don't know if they're better. And nobody's better than anybody else. You know, I mean, Arsenal are doing great right now. But again, as Craig said, you know, during the show, there are no silverware to win right now. We're going to see at the end of the season. You know, to make a statement is absolutely stupid. Again, Liverpool last season, they were first in the Premier League. Everybody thought they would do the quadruple. They only won the Premier League. Well, they won the Premier League. So, you know, it's too early to say. And I still think that PSG is better than Arsenal.
All right, there you have your answer. Next question, 3 years on, are you ready to say Chelsea's scattergun approach actually works, or does it still look like they're just signing anyone with 2 legs and a passport? Do you think it's working? Darky?
There's an argument for starting to say it is working in the crazy way that they operate. I mean, the revolving door at Stamford Bridge is almost coming off its hinges. I mean, look at the number of players who left as well last summer. That was a huge number too. But the way they're performing at the moment, they're challenging for the title. If they beat Arsenal at the weekend, all right, a big if, they're 3 points off the top. So we've got a title race. So there's a conversation to be had along those lines.
I thought for it to work, you have to have success.
Because they used to sack their manager if they didn't win the Premier League in any one season.
All right, I hear you. You know, some Chelsea fans out there. Did you just say Club World Cup? Yeah, forget that. Chuck in. Chuck in.
Sorry, Chelsea, I tried.
Chuck in the conference, which they won.
Yeah.
Against the Dog and Duck, the Red Lion, the whatever pub team you can think
Real
of.
Betis it was, actually.
Yeah. They were terrible.
Who we've got on ESPN Plus every week, Real Betis.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad I'm not doing them.
With Anthony.
Are you doing them this week?
I am doing them.
He is doing.
I just refuse to do them.
Sevilla
Why
derby.
would I do a Real Betis game? I do have to. I don't know. Anyway, so again, we have more people getting carried away. It's a bit like the last question. Somebody said Arsenal cannot win the Champions League. Check the tape. I don't remember anybody saying that. So give your ears a clean. And this one, is it working? What? I don't know. Where's the proof in the pudding?
So for it to work, they've got to win a title, a big title.
Well,
We're talking Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup,
well, what else is there?
Champions League.
What other barometer is there?
Craig, maybe what we can say is that we didn't expect Chelsea being able to do what they are doing right now with what we have seen lately.
Why not? What?
Well, because that was a real shamble. Like 2 or 3 years ago, that was a real shamble, and I thought that it would. No, but I mean, I thought it would take more years more times to get maybe results, maybe a little bit more stability that we can see now. They are a little bit more. They're more consistent that we were expecting. More consistent that we saw last year or the year before. So it's getting better. Now saying that they're going to win everything, no.
What we can say is that they've had some good signings, but they've had some bad ones as well. Over the course of all these, as Darky said, the revolving door, there's been some good signings, there's been some bad ones. You want more good signings than you do bad ones, and that's not always been the case.
I think, I mean, again here, I think we're jumping off, I think people are jumping off the back of this Barcelona game. If they get walloped by Arsenal at the weekend, and that's a if. If they get walloped by Arsenal, it'll be all doom and gloom again. Well, no, you know, but so what? You know, what's been handed out now? Nothing. Absolutely, you're winning nothing now. So I mean, yeah. Have they been better? Yeah, they've spent money. They should be better. They
but
got
again, Craig, you're right. Last year in December, Chelsea were first or second. And everybody thought they were in a title race. And when I say no, they're not, because we have to wait when they're going to lose one game. They had a long time winning games, and suddenly they're going to win the league. No, we know football. We're not there to criticize just randomly and because we love that. No, it's just facts. We know football, and we know that Chelsea wasn't last year ready to win the Premier League. And as soon as they lost one game, they suddenly collapsed. So we have to be... we have to be careful and just say it's better. But let's see, how, as Craig just said, let's see how it works against Arsenal. And if they win against Arsenal, we say, well, they're getting better and better.
All right. Owen, that's your answer. Next question. Thankful to you all for working on our biggest national holiday. Football stops for no one. Is turkey overrated?
Yes, dry.
Yes, I agree.
No, I love turkey. I love turkey. Love the Christmas dinner. Love Thanksgiving dinner. Turkey is my favourite meat, without doubt.
Of all?
Of all, yeah. I don't eat beef. I don't eat pork.
Chicken?
I eat chicken, but I like turkey more. With a bit of cranberry sauce.
Wow.
Do you like Christmas pudding?
Oh, absolutely. But you don't have that at Thanksgiving, do you? Christmas pudding?
With custard or cream?
With brandy cream.
Oh, hello. He's a fancy man.
You don't eat beef?
God.
I don't eat beef, no. Wow. Well, no, I would, but my wife doesn't, so she won't cook it.
Not even in a pie? A little pie? Cheeky
If
pie?
I really want to annoy, I have venison when we go out for a meal.
Wow, geez.
I have duck for starter and venison for main course, and that really does offend her.
Yeah.
I'm having a T-bone steak if that's the case.
Yeah, no, exactly. The tomahawk steaks. Frank, what about you? I don't know how many turkeys are consumed in France, but is turkey overrated from what you've tried?
No, I think it's just symbolic. But I don't really eat turkey. I eat chicken, but I don't eat turkey. We eat kind of a turkey for Christmas, but that's it, you know. And we're not celebrating, of course, Thanksgiving like the Americans do, and therefore the turkey is not very popular in our country.
See, we're used to working on holidays anyway,
Yeah.
because in England, when you're a player or a broadcaster in England, Christmas and New Year, you're full on.
Biggest work days.
And like, you don't even think about it. It's just you just work. So it's part and parcel, isn't it?
And just add a note to the turkey.
This year, Craig, there's no games on the 26th in the Premier League.
I thought there was one game.
Well, one game. You're right. Yeah, one.
And you're not doing it, Darky. Blimey. You're having a day off. What's going on?
He's having a day off.
I turned on my telly the other
Only
day and
one
they were
game,
looking
come
back
on.
at boxing clips from about 30 years ago, and there was Darky's voice on it.
Surely not that long ago.
It was Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Listen, go and watch this one on YouTube.
Yeah, go on.
That was only 20 years ago.
Go and watch this one on YouTube. I was at it, and Ian was doing the commentary. I was with a big crowd in Nottingham for Carol Froch versus Lucien Boutte.
Good fight.
And I don't want to bore you, but Boutte was supposed to be the guy going to knock Froch out because he was a Canadian, he had a big puncher, and he got destroyed.
Did he?
And Ian was on the commentary, very excited.
See? No,
Yes.
Darky was the best boxing commentator there has ever been.
Oh, hello. This is a Darky appreciation
There was
show
always
today.
Harry Carpenter or
No,
Ian Darke.
no.
Ian Darke was up there, Harry Carpenter.
No, Ian was the
Right.
best commentator after Harry Carpenter and Reg Guttridge.
Red Guttridge.
Yeah.
There were only 3 of us.
I absolutely love Frank's blank stare. He has no idea what we're talking about, and he would happily keep it that way.
How many French
like
boxers
the
do you
food
have?
before, like the food
does
before,
anyone else?
Like the food before.
shepherd's pie or whatever you. Oh my God. That was something I saw on the social network where an English girl was saying that the English food was the best in the world, and the guy, an Italian guy and a French guy, they were answering and they were naming like 250 countries who could be better, who could find better food than in England.
And it was
That
like
so
6
funny.
hours
That
later,
was
and
so
he's
funny
still
because-
naming countries.
Exactly.
I saw that one. Well, funnily enough, the final question is about food. Who would win a cook-off between the 4 of you?
Well,
among
before
the
we
four of
even
us.
start, I have won a cook-off against another member of the panel here.
Oh,
Really?
oh.
We
Yes.
went to the
Champions League
final in Paris, and we had to make a croissant.
We had to make pain au chocolat
Oh,
and
pain
a
au
croissant.
chocolat and a croissant. And who beat Frank Leboeuf?
The Englishman.
Yep. You were terrible, Frank. You
Yeah,
paid no attention to the woman.
Frank
you
paid
were
no
rude
attention.
to the cook who was trying to teach you, and then you cleared off. Rubbish.
You like cooking?
No, I hate cooking.
I like to
cooking.
eat croissant. That's it. I don't like to make them. I like to eat croissant. I don't care. You do the croissant. I eat the croissant.
I cooked a paella in
Did
Spain.
you? Oh.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I didn't really, but
So you're a good cook?
no, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, right.
I would go with Robbo. I feel like Robbo looks like he could
No,
put
I
a
can't
meal
cook.
together.
No, I
You said
can't.
he doesn't like cooking.
Don't like cooking.
No, but it's not necessarily if you like it or not. It's who would just cook.
Well, I always
Craig, I hear
think
you're a cook.
if you can read, you can cook.
Oh. Craig, I hear you're a
Now,
cook.
the-
Who did you hear that from?
A
he
little
has the
birdie.
face of a chef.
No, you didn't. I just said it.
Robo has the face of a chef. I don't know. He's clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'd have one of the, you could see Robbo with one of these big white hats on.
Yeah.
couldn't you?
It would fit
Yeah,
nicely.
exactly.
I'd be rude. 'cause-
Stuart brews a very good coffee.
Yeah, I do, yes. But well, you can't use that machine at Hammersmith when we commentate from Hammersmith. You have to put your hand around it and the water comes out, Ian. You've never quite managed that.
Stuart's an expert.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I'd be relegated from this conversation. I think I'm bottom of the 4.
Yeah. Bit like Portsmouth will be in the Championship.
Fair.
Ooh, that's tough.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll end it there. I think we'll all go with Craig for this one.
No.
I
Yeah.
think Craig would win the cook-off.
No, he's Cook of the Year.
Yeah, I think Craig would win the cook-off.
Did you say cook?
All right. Make sure to tune in to tomorrow's edition of ESPN FC.